Hi, my name is Evelyn, and I'm really different from all the people on this planet. And it's not about any talents or special features. The thing is that I became an owner of the most expensive mask in the world. If a year ago someone had told me about this, I would have made a fuss and called that person a fool. How can one buy masks at all, and why do you need them? I used to think earlier. But reality dictates its own conditions, and we have to adapt to them. Since I am a freedom-loving girl from a very wealthy family, I resisted the mask regime in our school as hard as I could. But, my opposition was as useless as an udder on a bull, and in the end, I realized that I would have to wear a mask. Actually, it was a pity that we all have become the same behind a piece of this fabric. You cannot see whether one is beautiful or not, what kind of lipstick they have, and what the shape of their lips are. It's impossible to know if your interlocutor makes face at you and sticks out their tongue under their mask. All the people have become roughly equal, and this is very painful for some individuals who are used to being different from the majority. Honestly, I did not understand how one could spend money on masks and why they did it. So I asked our housekeepers to buy me a stack of the most ordinary single-use ones, like those for doctors and medical workers. However, I managed to wear these only 4 times because for the 4th time, a string on the mask on my face was torn right during the lesson, and it just fell off of me. Moreover, it was not possible to attach the string again. My classmates started laughing at me and saying that it was such a shame that such a rich girl had no money for a normal mask. Some of them even suggested that everyone should chip in and buy me a new one. This was probably the worst day of my life. Never before have I had to endure any ridicule or stupid jokes from peers. But now this is all because of this stupid mask. That's a total failure on that day. Tears never left my eyes. I did not know how to cope with the shame that had piled on me, and what happened was a serious blow to my pride. Damn mask. Hate it. The next day, I refused to go to school and did not explain anything to anyone. And of course, my parents were a little bit worried in the evening. They offered me to explain everything to them, especially since the emotions on my face revealed that I had a serious problem. So I had no choice but to tell them about the situation. Mom called all that nonsense and even laughed at the seriousness of my problem, adding that I should immediately throw all the stupid things out of my head and just go to school. To my surprise, Dad did not agree with Mom's position. When he heard about my problem, he got very nervous and then promised to come up with something. What can you come up with in such a situation? I won't be able to wash off the shame that has fallen on me. I also thought it's worth saying that Dad somehow managed to come to an agreement with Mom because for the next 10 days, I was staying at home thinking about what to do next. But then Dad put an end to this whole story. Rather, this turned out to be just the beginning, but I'll tell you about that later. So Dad gave me a real mask made of gold, which was covered with various precious stones. When I saw it for the first time, my eyes began to be dazzled because I had never seen so many diamonds in one place. It was as if the mask was not real, but from some fairy tale. Later, I took it, and then a new shack awaited me. But it was less pleasant. The thing is that the weight of the mask turned out to be really impressive. Well, if it were a handbag or a sneaker, then it would have been okay. But damn it, this is a face mask, and its weight turned out to be about 300 grams. It was kind of scary to wear such beauty on my face. Oh yes, its price could not leave anyone indifferent either. It cost around $2 million. And this only added to its fabulousness and magic. And to be honest, I was scared to put it on. That's why, for some reason, I had hoped that my dad bought it for our mini museum. However, then I remember what happened in the classroom a few days earlier. and my mood suddenly improved. Now I will wipe the eyes of all my classmates so that they will remember who is who forever. I will have the most expensive and luxurious mask in the world. I was looking forward to going to school. The next day, I anticipated the envious glances of my classmates and the shock in the eyes of the teachers. And I will prove that I have the coolest and wealthiest family. So the jokes about me are at least stupid in general. As expected, the next day, my look caused a real sensation at school. All the students from the first to the highest grades, as well as all the teachers, medical workers, school administrators, and even the cleaners rushed to see me. Not mentioning the fact that in the crowd of idlers, there showed up even our school dog, named Batman. I felt the most amazing, the most wonderful, and the coolest girl. This feeling was not new to me, but this time it was especially sweet and solemn. I wanted to laugh at my bold classmates and tell them something sharp, but I didn't do it. I think they understood everything. Without further ado, but my positive emotions did not last long because already during the second lesson, I had severe pain and felt dizzy. Everything got dark, and I felt nausea in my throat. It was a very unpleasant feeling. But before, I had experienced the same after wearing a mask for several hours. I decided to ask the teacher to let me go to the first aid post. And as soon as I started to stand up, everything around me got blurred as if I was on an amusement ride. And that was it. Everything went dark. I came to my senses in an ambulance, and I had a mask on my face. In fact, it was not the precious mask, but the oxygen one. At first, I tried to understand what had happened, and when I remembered everything, I was gripped by horror. I tried to stand up, but it didn't work, so I started shouting in a mask, "Where is my mask?" That is, it was not my health that worried me the most, but my precious mask. The worst thing for me was to be left without it because it was worth a fortune. But that time, I was not destined to find out where it was because I again fainted. I had a whole week at the hospital ahead of me, and the problem was not only a loss of consciousness due to oxygen starvation, but also a severe allergy to gold which I developed. It turned out that there was so much of it in my mask that it could even kill a person in general. It is always bad to get sick, but I had time to think, and there was a lot to think about because I wanted to prove to everyone my superiority with the help of my father's money. But in fact, everything turned out to be exactly the opposite. After a week, I clearly understood that all the old values are no longer relevant in my life. Money, pride, race for authority, and vanity. These are all empty things, and it is impossible to prove something to someone with the help of wealth. By the way, this also applied to my dad. I really wanted him to understand the same as I did. After I was discharged from the hospital, I asked my parents to transfer me to an ordinary school where there was no need to conform to the unspoken luxury principles of the other rich kids, where there is no need to be afraid that the string on your mask will get off or it will tear, where you can just study. It turns out that in our time, this is a real luxury. My parents begged me to think properly and to not do anything rash, but I was adamant. After some time, we still managed to agree, and I went to an ordinary private school. But even that made me happy. Now I will tell you something about luxury. Again, studying in a cheap private school is a real luxury. Now I don't need to agree on my looks for the next week with my stylist and wake up 3 hours before the beginning of my classes to do my hair and makeup. And my classmates here are very cool. They aren't really obsessed with brands, with what you wear, how much money your dad has, and how much your mask costs. They perceive you as a person and appreciate people for their inner qualities, not for their trinkets. Well, as for the precious mask, my mother got it, but fortunately she doesn't use it. Would you like to become the owner of the most expensive mask in the world? Give your answers in the comments. Click on the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. Hello everyone. My name is Layla and I sell air. I know that sounds strange and maybe even crazy, but I live in a city where the air is polluted with smog, which makes getting a full breath of air difficult. The problem inspired me to open my own business, which has caused me numerous problems. Before I tell you about this business, I will say a few words about my city. We have 3 factories and 2 power stations, which have completely polluted the atmosphere. All branches of the media have written often about the awful ecological situation, but the people in charge of the city don't care. Due to this, many families have left the city. And believe me, my family would also leave this place. However, it's not that simple for most of our lives. My parents have worked in the largest local factory. They are experienced specialists and play a very important role in the productivity of the factory, which brings our family a respectable income that allows us to live comfortably above middle class. And due to that, we haven't left the city. But I don't like living here. The trees in the park are dying. All the lawns are artificial, and the sky is constantly gray. People often become ill. My classmate Jeremy's immune system was heavily weakened, and he was forced to move out of the city with his family. I'm afraid that I will also get sick. Then I decided that as soon as I finish high school, I'm leaving the city to live in a healthier environment. But before this, I, like everyone else in the city, have to wear masks that don't help at all against the polluted air. But in a single moment, everything changed. My family and I were spending our holiday in a resort hotel near a forest. The resort hotel wasn't too far from our city. But while breathing the clean, fresh air, I felt as if I was on another planet. As I enjoyed the fresh air, I had a wonderful idea to sell the forest air in my city. It's quite likely that a lot of people would be interested in such an original product, which would allow them to feel as if they were in a pine forest. I shared my idea with my father and got his support. Together, we developed a business plan along with the design for the canisters that would contain the forest air. As my father had worked with canisters for many years, he helped me seal the air inside them, ready to be sold on my website. I should admit that in the beginning, people weren't overly willing to buy such a strange product. However, those who were left with only positive reviews. After only a few days, the whole city found out about our canisters. A lot of people wanted to buy them. Business was booming, and I nearly lost my mind from happiness. After seeing the amount of money I was earning, I set aside a part of my earnings to pay for my enrollment in an elite university. Unfortunately, this didn't last too long, as angry reviews from buyers started to appear on my site. People were complaining that the air in my canisters was unsafe and advising other people to avoid them. I didn't think too much about it. They were probably just envious haters that were jealous of my brilliant idea. Eventually, it got to the point where a buyer threatened to go to the police. She also wrote a review in which she said that she was almost poisoned by my air and demanded that we return her money immediately. I was completely shocked by the audacity of this woman. I had already come across a few similar buyers who complained that the air in my canister smelled even worse than the city air. When I requested that they provide samples from the canisters, they immediately refused, disappeared, and ignored me. I knew very well that these threats would never turn into concrete action. Imagine my shock when I got a police summons. That horrible woman didn't want to give up. So my father and I met her at the police station, and she confidently claimed that she had not inhaled forced air from her canister, but some kind of swampy gas that almost killed her. We got into a heated argument, and as a result, she suggested that I try the air from the canister. With a smirk, I raised the canister to my mouth, inhaled, and the world around me disappeared, and I came to sometime later lying on the floor. I had a disgusting taste in my mouth, and I felt excruciating pain coming from my head and lungs. The woman reproached fully nodded her head. She was right. In the end, the police gave me a huge fine and told me to expect an inspection from them soon. They also said that if my product is discovered to be deadly, there would be trouble. After this incident, I checked my inventory and confirmed that the air inside them was disgusting and impossible to breathe. I was ashamed that I hadn't paid attention to the quality of my product and had sold our clients poison. I started to feel paranoid when I saw people out in the streets with our canisters. I constantly thought about the fact that they were breathing poison that would lead to consequences worse than the city smog. My paranoia got so bad that one day in school, after seeing a younger student with one of my canisters, I ran up to him and grabbed the canister straight out of his hands. The boy glared at me with terrified expression and burst out crying. I tried to explain to him that the air is not safe, but he didn't listen to me. At this point, the director approached us and asked us what was going on. I explained everything about the canisters to him in detail, after which he took his own from his briefcase and right in front of my eyes, threw it into the trash can. The director advised me to immediately stop sales so that nobody else would be at risk. After this, I searched the whole internet, trying to find out why my air had started to smell. I decided to talk to the chemistry teacher, and she explained that air is a living substance, which in certain conditions can spoil and turn stagnant. At this moment, my world turned upside down. Air can spoil. How is this even possible? The chemistry teacher said that storing air in a closed space without it spoiling is very difficult, but possible. However, that requires a large amount of capital and expensive equipment. I realized that I would need to completely stop sales, and then I became upset. I warned people on my site to not use the canisters and started to get rid of my inventory. Unfortunately, my troubles didn't end there. As I expected, some people were injured due to the spoiled product, and I was forced to pay out a large amount of compensation to them. I'm lucky that nobody else went to the police. Otherwise, I would have lost all of my earned money paying out compensation. And there were the inspections, which also caused me a headache. Even though I told them I had already closed my business, they still fined me a large amount for selling people a low-quality product. My parents had to fork up a large part of their savings to save me from this trouble. But the story doesn't end on a completely pessimistic note. To my great surprise, it turned out that my canisters helped. A lot of people, were upset when they found out that my business was closed. And among those people was one of the largest entrepreneurs in the city who wanted to discuss a proposal face-to-face. It turns out that our oxygen tanks had helped his whole family feel much better. Mr. Dawson wanted to buy a large batch from me, but unfortunately didn't manage to before I closed the business. He said that he was ready to invest in my business and help with the development of canisters that would preserve the air for much longer. I was so shocked that I could barely believe my ears. He said that the people of our city have the right to be healthy, and we can develop a tool that can help them. After a few months, we started selling again. Mr. Dawson also invested in advertisements and a PR company, which helped restore the public's faith in our company. People started buying our canisters so fast that we barely managed to make enough to keep up with the demand. After only a few months, we earned such an astronomical amount of money that we decided to design filters for the factory chimneys. Could you live in a city like this with polluted air? Let us know in the comments. Hit like and share this video with your friends. Hello everyone, my name is Noah, and since I was a kid, I've had beautiful snow white teeth. But then I became popular because of my golden diamond teeth. Let me tell you the story of how they turned out that way. Well, let's start with the fact that having gorgeous teeth didn't bring me a single ounce of happiness. And yeah, it would be weird if teeth somehow made a person successful. Unfortunately, all my life, I haven't been able to form good relationships with my peers or classmates. I've never had friends. I was always alone, but I wasn't happy with that. And in my heart, I always dreamed about having a big group of friends who I shared a lot of common interest with. And since I always considered myself pretty enough at some point, I decided to become famous no matter what it cost me. And for some reason, I was sure that after becoming popular, I would immediately have many friends and fans. So I quickly moved from thinking about it to taking action. First of all, I started a blog on Insta and posted some vanilla posts with cool photos where I smiled with all my snow white teeth or made funny faces. However, nothing came of it. And in 6 months, my follower count only reached 70 people. They were all either relatives or from mutual followers. So then I went to conquer TikTok with dances, songs, and vines. I gave it 101, but again, I'm not sure if some people watched me, but instead of liking and subscribing to me, they just silently watched and then left me behind forever. It was insulting. I didn't get what was wrong with me. I mean, come on, I'm artistic pretty. I've got this Hollywood-level smile. What was wrong? Why was I failing as an influencer? Maybe it's some social media algorithm. Was I just putting up posts and videos at the wrong time? Or was I tagging them incorrectly to try and understand this? I started digging through Google in the hopes of finding helpful articles or promoting my accounts on social media. And you know what? I actually dug up a lot of interesting information. I learned a lot of really important things, but the most important one was that you can be very smart, cool, handsome, and charismatic, but your chances to become popular will still be about 0. But if you become different from everyone else and can really surprise the audience, an incredible success awaits you. Cleverly, isn't it? So then I began to think, how could I shock the audience? Well, obviously, it wasn't going to be with my Hollywood smile, because although it was absolutely beautiful, it was still, well, you get the idea. Songs, dances. No, it's not that I had to come up with something fundamentally different, and after studying the pages of popular influencers for a couple of days, I knew what I was going to do to maintain the feeling of intrigue. I'm going to skip the next stage of my preparation for fame, but I promise to return to it soon. Besides, if I told you right away, my story would be over now. But I want you to know everything. So, I'll fast forward. In my first video, I showed up with truly awful-looking rotten teeth. I'm talking black and brown. I knew that they looked disgusting and ugly, and that the audience wouldn't feel at all positive when they saw them. But that was exactly what I needed. Shock. More shock. And more shock. Insults and hate comments filled up the comment section under the video. And thanks to that, my video very quickly hit the top. In just a couple of hours, I managed to gain 200,000 TikTok subscribers and 2 million views. And all that with just one video. Can you imagine? I can't even describe how glad I was here. It was my long-awaited glory. After a series of videos with rotten teeth, I took a short time out, during which my subscribers, who had already 2 million, blew up my TikTok with questions. Where was I? And what had happened to me? Someone assumed that I would die due to dental problems. Someone said that I could not stand the shame. But I liked watching all the hype. A few weeks later, I showed up on TikTok again to keep the intrigue. I didn't show my teeth and just stared into the frame. How many views do you think such a video got? 10 million. And in the comments, people wondered what I wanted to tell them. They assumed that I had my teeth removed, that I had false jaws installed, that I had new teeth. And after a few days, they found out the correct answer. Now, my teeth were gold, and some of them even had diamonds on them. My smile shone and sparkled like the surface of water at dawn. It was a real shock for my subscribers. And of course, I caused a new wave of hype. And you know what the funniest thing was? I didn't have to do or say anything. I just smiled along with the music, and that was it. They made parodies of me. They talked about me, and I knew that I finally had the success I had always dreamed of. But it didn't make me any friends or acquaintances. I was still lonely and unhappy as a person. Glory, okay. What to do with it? And I couldn't even monetize it. After all this, I got pretty disappointed and gloomy. I needed to figure out what to do next. But I definitely didn't want to leave my account. People on the street started to recognize me. And I didn't even think about how weird it would be. Oh, that's the idiot with the rotten teeth who got gold implanted in it. Show us your teeth. Dang. I had to hide and run away from these people. But there were more and more of them, and I was getting worried. Soon people I knew would stumble upon my videos, by the way. It was strange that they hadn't seen my TikTok account yet, although it was bound to happen sooner or later. Strangely, I wasn't smart enough to think ahead and realize this might happen. I really should have. My classmates saw me on TikTok and started laughing at me. I was ready to sink into the ground when they started making fun of me about my fame. They started calling me Rotten Mouse and Rotten. But why didn't they laugh? Before you ask? Well, there was a reason. Well, now I think it's time to go back a bit when I was making my preparation to record videos for TikTok. I wonder what you think I did with my teeth before starting to work on my TikTok videos. Maybe you decided that I completely stopped cleaning them and started deliberately rotting them with all sorts of sweets and soda, or maybe you thought I was just smearing them with something. Write your options in the comments. I'm very interested to read what your imagination came up with and how far away from reality you really were. In the meantime, I'll tell you how it really went, to be honest. My idea was not something other TikTokers did. It was inspired by a blogger with colored teeth. He had a lot of views and subscribers, so I decided to follow his example and find out how he managed to get rainbow-colored teeth. Unfortunately, this information was a secret, but I managed to find some expert opinions on how you can color your teeth. And as it turned out, it was actually really simple. It couldn't be easier. Although from a technical view, it was kind of hard. They suggested a lot of interesting things, but most of all, I liked the option of using special overlays for your teeth. It turned out that you can order them from off the internet and even make them according to a specific design. This idea appealed to me to such an extent that I came up with my plan for TikTok with lightning speed, and I clearly understood what overlays I needed. However, the manufacturer asked for a huge amount to make the overlays, and I had to sweat a lot to try and get the money I needed. And unfortunately, I could not legally earn $2,000. I had to commit a crime, namely to steal the money from our teacher. I knew that she had a lot of money in her purse and decided to seize the opportunity. But don't think that I'm some kind of bully or thief. No, that's not what I am. I just borrowed that money. I decided that as soon as my account started generating income for me, I would immediately return that money to the classroom. I was counting on amazing profits from being an influencer, but something went wrong and I could only return a donut hole. That is nothing. Ahead of me was a complete fiasco and exposure on all fronts. After the money was stolen, the investigation did not stop. And when the police found out that on the very day of the theft, I was making a large purchase via the internet, they took me into custody and quickly found out that it was me who was the thief. I was booked at the police station, and my parents were ordered to pay the stolen amount to the teacher along with moral damage. They also said that the amount would be deducted from my pocket money. I decided to get rid of the shame forever and delete my account, but when I went to do it, I saw a message with an offer to buy my account. I didn't really think much of it, but I decided to ask how much they were offering. They told me $3,000. I was ecstatic and immediately agreed, although as it turned out, it was a pretty low offer. At first, I thought I'd gotten rid of the source of all my troubles, but that wasn't the case. The new owner of the channel decided to continue the theme of my personality and posted various videos in the dark on my behalf and began to collect money for treatment. People transferred money to him, but soon the account was blocked for fraud, and I was even sued. It's good that I was able to prove my innocence, but I was seriously on edge. What are you willing to do for fame? Have you ever tried to become an influencer or TikToker? What happened? Share your experience in the comments. Hit the like button under this video because your reactions are very important to us. And check if you are subscribed to our channel. If not, be sure to do it right now.